I'd like to call to order the Monday, November 16th, 2020 City of Vandalia Council meeting. We'll start with a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Council, you've had an opportunity to review the previous meeting minutes of the county study session of September 8th, the council meeting minutes of October 19th, the council study session minutes of November 2nd, and the council meeting minutes of November 2nd. Are there any comments or corrections? Being none, they stand approved. We have no communications, petitions, or awards, and that brings us to our public hearing. Council is required by the city charter to hold a public hearing on all emergency ordinances. We have several on the agenda tonight. We'll start with the Foxfire rezoning. Mr. McDonald, can you please read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance rezoning 15 acres of vacant land in the northwest portion of the Foxfire subdivision from residential single-family 2 to residential single-family 4 and amending the zoning map of the city.
Thank you. This time I'd like to open up a public hearing on ordinance 20-30. If there's any individual who would like to speak or give testimony regarding this ordinance 20-30, please come forward, state your name, address, and make your comments. First, I would like to ask if Mr. Marlowe has any comments regarding this.
Land Zone Limited is requesting to rezone approximately 15 acres of vacant land in the Foxfire subdivision from residential single-family 2 to residential single-family 4. The RSF4 zoning district is the highest density for single-family detached housing units. The primary difference between the two zoning districts is the minimum required lot size and frontage. The requested RSF4 district allows for smaller, more narrow lots. The rezoning request is consistent with the 2020 future land use map designation of low-density residential. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at its October 13th meeting and voted 3-0 to recommend approval, subject to the condition that the accompanied preliminary plat is approved.
All right. Thank you. Is the applicant online?
Yes, the applicant is here.
Okay. Is there any comments from the applicant?
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Bob Krongold, 2880 Los Santoville Avenue. Also with me tonight is Greg Burling with Campbell Burling. We're developing that property. The request before you is the second reading. We saw the piece of ground that was available from the market, and we have it under contract. We saw a layout that was different than what we would like for our use, so we're proposing the zone change on about half of the acreage to make all the lot sizes consistent. We feel that's a better streetscape than the alternative plan that was previously approved. We also see this as a transition zone because it does back up to the Highway Business District behind us off of Poe Avenue. So that is part of the reason for the request, but we just see it as a transition district. So I'd like to say that we've had a couple very productive conversations from my perspective from the homeowners that live in that community, and we had a few discussions. They were a very cohesive group of folks, and they have a beautiful community, and we understand that and recognize it. That community is maintained. Every time I drive through there, somebody's out trimming their grass and bushes, and it's an outstanding development. We recognize that the group had some concerns that we discussed, and I think we'll agree to disagree on some of the issues, but I think we had good conversations. It was a productive meeting for us and me, and I appreciate that. So we'll be available to answer any questions that come up during this process. We appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to note that if there's any residents or citizens online that would like to make a comment, please raise your hand so we make sure that we see you and we don't accidentally miss anyone. All right, I can't see the name.
I think it's Ann Burke. Ann Burke.
Mr. Burke, would you like to make a comment?
Oh, he's muted.
Name and address.
He's muted.
Okay.
Can I be heard now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I would disagree with Mr. Korngold about the meeting. He listened to what we have to say, and I think he's totally ignoring it because our concern is not with, it's with the builder that they've chosen. And they are going to go ahead with it regardless. The homes that they are planning on putting on there, on the lots, whether they're rezoned or not, do not match the neighborhood at all, and I think would be a total detriment to the 117 homes that already exist in the plat. But that's not his concern. His concern is to optimize the profit for his company. So I don't feel it was particularly productive from our end of the meeting. Basically said, this is what we're going to do and live with it. We've heard these concerns before. Basically, we don't care. That's what I got out of our meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, let me make sure I understand what we're doing here. He's saying he's revising his plans, so,
No,
No,
that was not said.
no.
oh,
His name and address, Mayor.
Right. Sir, can we get your name and address for our record?
Aaron Burke, 2400 Old Derby Court, Vandalia.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go back to the multi-view so we can see who wants to speak next. Okay. If someone would like to raise their hand if they'd like to speak.
There's actually a couple that have raised
Yeah,
their
you-
hand on the device, or on the,
The blue.
Mark Warner, yeah.
Mark is for North Point.
Can you unmute Leon?
Mark is for North Point.
Maybe it's Leon, whatever.
Good evening. This is Leon Mabel. I live at 778 Foxfire Trail in Vandalia in the Foxfire subdivision. And to echo Mr. Burke's comments, we did meet with the developer, and the developer was very clear that he's going to bring in a production builder to build on his requested smaller lots. And I think it is very inconsistent with our current development, and it will have a detrimental effect on the resale value of our homes, and would therefore request council to disapprove this request. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Who we have next?
That was good.
David?
This is David Hartzell, 2349 Cheviot Hills Lane. I just wanted to note that the zoning change would change the character of the majority of the homes in the neighborhood, given the nature of how big the lots would be to build on. And also the plot plan has 14 lots with significant building restrictions on them.
Did you hear?
Thank you.
David, could you repeat that and speak up, please?
Yeah, the zoning change would change the character of the majority of the homes in the neighborhood, given how small the new lot sizes would be. And the plot plan, as currently proposed, has 14 lots with significant building restrictions on them.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this ordinance? Jeff Hoagland would like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Herbst. My name is Jeff Hoagland, 817 Deerhurst Drive, Vandalia, Ohio. Thank you for the time to speak this evening. As you all know, I live in the Foxfire neighborhood, was able to attend one of the public hearings. Overall, I do not think this is something that the neighborhood or ourselves would like to see approved tonight. I don't think it meets with it conforms with the residential homes that are currently built here. Vandalia has thousands of acres of land for development, and this type of housing project, I think, could be built somewhere else, but just doesn't conform to this neighborhood. And that's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you. I see someone else raising their hand. We can unmute.
Bryce. He's muted.
He's muted. What's his name?
Muted.
Mr. Bryce, you're muted.
Can we unmute him from back here?
It must be something with his audio on his side.
Mr. Davy, are you able to unmute him?
He just did.
I think
It looks like he's still muted.
Not working.
Still can't hear you, Mr. Bryce.
Mr. Bryce is unmuted, but it's just not coming through the system.
He's not unmuted now.
Well, it's got
Do
to
you want to
unmute.
go Mr. Gonter Day and see if he can figure?
Go to Alex.
Hello, Alex Gunnar Dre, 751 Foxfire Trail, Vandalia. I echo everything that Leon and Jeff and Mr. Burke has said as well. I too attended some of the workshops and
Say what?
the last session that the builder had for those of us in the neighborhood there a few Fridays ago or Thursdays ago. And as Mr. Burke said, we've shared our concerns. We all know that this development is eventually going to get built out. It's the style of house and how it's going to affect our market value of our homes. In that last open session with Mr. Krongold, he doesn't understand. He just wants to build because he sees the significantly low price of that lot of land, and it's an opportunity for him to capitalize, which he has the free will to do that. But he doesn't understand. He has not addressed our concerns of keeping the homes much more consistent with the style that's in here, and then being unique. And I think if you compare, I think I said this at the workshop a few weeks ago, Council, if you compare subdivision is similar to Woodland Meadows and Timberwind, and if you look at those subdivisions, they're not all custom homes, but there are no production builds in there too. And I think it would be a detriment to the city and to this neighborhood if you allowed a production build to come in to this neighborhood and build a bunch of smaller homes on smaller lots. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like
Hello?
to?
Yes, I would like to speak.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Deanna Hoffman, 2348 Cheviot Hills Lane. When we bought in our neighborhood, this neighborhood back in 2003, I am a formal realtor. I've been in real estate since 1980. And I know the significance of a builder and why he wants to get in here. Why wouldn't he? It's a great neighborhood, and it's something that, all the people that live here have significantly put a lot of money into their places. And obviously, we would be happy to look at a proposal of somebody putting in quality like we have. Because right now, with the Fisher Homes that is going in there, if you look at Fisher Homes, they're production homes. They may be good for somewhere else, but it's going to devalue everybody's property back here. And as a resident back here, I bought for a reason, because of the quality of the homes, the quality of the people, the subdivision. It speaks for itself. If you look at our sale prices right now, I mean, we are getting high prices. You know what's going to happen if Fisher comes in? our prices are going to bottom. And that is not something that the city of Vandalia should look at. They should look at very strongly. You know, I think that there's other and better use for this land. And maybe if they zone it back to R2 or something, I don't know. But I just wanted to let everybody know that I am just in favor of this subdivision going in. I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Yes, my name is Brian White. I live at 2388 Chevy Hills Lane in Vandalia, and I've been to the meetings as well. And in addition to the property values, I want to highlight a couple of other things. Living on Chevy Hills, we've got that stub street, Frisco Lane, which at one time it was supposed to go through to the, the extension of Deerhurst. And now, because we have to pack all those properties in so tightly so that the builder can make money, we just got a dead-end street. I mean, it seems to me that if you're going to do a planned unit development, you would actually plan something where you wouldn't just have a big dead-end street that butts into people's backyards. I mean, that doesn't seem to be very well thought out. I mean, I understand that the only way that he can make money with the way he does things is to cram everything together, but I would think that a more normal plot plan would actually have that street go through to the extension of Deerhurst, and if it costs a couple of lots, it makes it more like a neighborhood rather than like we're living down in Five Oaks districts where they just put up big concrete barriers. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to bring to light is we've heard at a couple of meetings that he only works with custom builders at Homerama quality sites that are, like grade A or whatever they call it. And I wanted to say that I take umbrage to that. I mean, if you live in a neighborhood of $350,000 to $400,000 homes in a good school district like Vandalia Butler, being told that, quarter-acre lots is really the best that you could hope for, seems to me to be a little bit disingenuous. When I came to move in, I looked at Woodland Meadows, and all the houses I built on got sold before I got outbid, so that's how I came to Foxfire. So it seems to me that given the demand that we have for large, beautiful homes, taking one of the few remaining areas in the city where you've got nice half-acre lots where you could build a big spread is not really looking down the road. I understand it's 2020 and we're in the middle of a pandemic, but in 2021, when things start to rebound, maybe taking one of the best neighborhoods in Foxfire and best neighborhoods in Vandalia and chopping it up into little quarter-acre pieces just won't seem like such a good idea. And that's really, that's not something that necessarily the developer can speak to. That's more that I'm asking, what is the vision for the city of Vandalia from the council? Because it doesn't seem like this really meets where we want to go as a city, independent of where the developer would like to make his money. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to comment?
Can we rebut some of these or further comment?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to introduce Greg again in a second, but there are some existing lots that were started on Deerhurst that were in the range of 62-foot frontage lots. So that vision was started to go down that street. And, Fisher Homes, we've got a lot of opinions floating around about valuations and builder quality, but I can speak that Fisher is a quality builder. We showed some product to the residents, and we work with them a lot, and we stand by them as a quality builder. So I'd like to introduce Greg Burling to maybe talk about some of the valuation concerns, if I could.
Yes, Greg Burling here, Campbell Burling Development, 3333 Madison Pike, Suite C, Fort Wright, Kentucky. Thank you for having me here. And just want to go into when we evaluate these subdivisions and sites that we're looking at to do business in, and the cities we do business in. We looked at Foxfire, and I'll echo Bob that driving through Foxfire, it's very well maintained, nice homes. The builder that built the homes did a very nice job on these. Fisher themselves as a builder has a great reputation in Cincinnati and in other cities, in Atlanta and Louisville, but they are based in Cincinnati, right down the road. They've opened a division in Dayton because they believe in the Dayton market, and they see that there's growth and there's a great opportunity. They build subdivisions for people like you, people like us, people like me, to buy a home in, to raise their family in. They build high quality homes. They have a reputation for that. And they've been doing it since 1980 when Henry Fisher left the Dries Company to start his own home building company. And he takes pride in the homes that he builds. His son Greg, who I know very well, runs the company now, and they are very proud of what they build. So there's such a negative connotation for some people here of production builder, but every builder is a builder. They're building a home for a person, for somebody to buy the home, to enjoy the home, to live in it for years, and they really look at the quality of what they build and are very proud of it. To go into Fisher offers modern designs and layouts that appeal to the buyers in the market. So it's in their best interest to do that, because they are in the business to sell homes. They're also in the business to make to build good quality homes for people that want to buy. So they offer a wide array of homes for people to choose from, different designs, different styles. They offer different materials on the exteriors. They offer landscape packages that are attractive. They build nice homes. And so for a successful sales program in a subdivision, for a builder to come into a subdivision, they're putting resources, they're putting time. They dedicate sales teams to the subdivision. With builders like Fisher, they dedicate a whole sales team to a subdivision. They dedicate marketing. They put time and effort into these subdivisions, not because they want to go in and just destroy the subdivision around it, it's because they want to make it better. They want to complete the subdivision and be proud of it, so that when people go to buy a Fisher home in another area, maybe Vandalia, Huber Heights, that they can come here to Foxfire, they can say, look what we did here, we can do that for you over here. So to say that they're just going to go ruin the subdivision, I think is wrong. So they, like I said, they feel that I did an evaluation on the subdivision. I pulled up on the auditor's website. You can pull up the sales in a subdivision for the past. You can go back years. And in Foxfire, the average sale price since 2017, which is a total of 20 sales, is $317,000, which is a great sales price. There's prices that go up over 400. There's prices that are down at 200,000. So there's a great range of homes in this subdivision, which makes it a great place to live. So Fisher feels they can meet that, and so they're going to have homes that are going to be in that range of price. So it depends on square footage, what the people finish out their home with, what they finish their basement, whether they put a sunroom on the rear of the house. It all depends on what the people want, what the market is going to bear. So Fisher has that ability to really go with the market. And if the market demands demands something there, they have the ability to pivot and meet that demand. So we'll let Bob, if you want to add anything else, but thank you for having me.
Yeah, I just want to close, I guess, with, there's some resistance, but we feel that people are entitled to live where they want to live, and we want to provide that same opportunity that the folks living in there have. We think it's per the Vision 2020 plan. We think that not everybody wants a brick home. Not everybody wants a custom builder. There are other choices, and we feel that our residents will become friends of the residents that live in there. They're going to have families, and they're going to enjoy their neighborhood as much as the folks in there. So we're encouraged. I understand that the folks are locked into their perspective, but we think at the end of the day, we'll have a nice subdivision that we can be proud of, and that the residents' kids will maybe be the first-time buyers in there. So I can answer any other questions.
Bob, I'll add a little bit more that the current zoning on Deerhurst Lane coming through the subdivision on Deerhurst, and I'm looking at the Planning Commission packet from back on October 13th. That you can see that about half our lots are in that RSF4, I believe, RSF4 district, which we're proposing 65-foot lots throughout the whole subdivision. Currently in that district, it's 50-foot lots. So we're not downsizing the lots there, we're upsizing the lots there. So we're kind of we want to create a subdivision, 65-foot lots in both sections, in RSF2 and RSF4, that it creates a nice streetscape. Is it matches the builder's homes, matches the builder's home widths, and creates a nice streetscape from there.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment?
Yeah, there are several people that have their hands up.
Well,
I don't know if they know they have their.
She does.
What's her name?
Bish, isn't it?
Kim Bish.
What? I don't.
Kim Bish.
Kim Bish.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Kimberly Bish and Michael Bish, 792 Foxfire Trail. And just wanted to say, I really don't think any of us feel that you guys are here to ruin our neighborhood. We just want our neighborhood to conform to what it is. And I think that I speak for, I'm going to say what my personal thoughts are. And I know in hearing my neighbors, we all kind of feel the same way. When we purchased, the neighborhood was developed with a specific vision in mind. And I think all of us have adhered to that. And we want to keep that vision in mind. The neighborhood's private, it's quiet, it's safe. Neighbors are great. I have no problems with walking. I'm not afraid to walk at night. I have a daughter that's in a wheelchair. There's not a lot of traffic. It's just a very good neighborhood where everybody's together. And my fear is that with the change in the style of the homes, and I get it that people can come in and they can purchase what they want, and everybody's free to buy and build wherever they want. But I think with some of the requirements that it needs to stay the same. The last time in our council meeting, you talked about possibly requiring some of the homes to have brick frontage. Mr. Krumgold, has that been anything that you've thought more about? Some bricks on the bills?
We're going to leave that. That's going to be a market driven. The builder will put brick on his model, and that'll be a choice that the market will dictate what people want on their elevations.
Okay. So, well, I guess what I'd like to say is that I think that we all have worked hard, and we have a very strong investment in our properties, and I'm very concerned that the new development isn't going to adhere with our existing neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I support what everyone else has had to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so this is Brian White. Can I jump back in here?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about, and I want to be clear that I don't believe that anyone is anti-development. What we're more talking about is something to fit in with the neighborhood so that it's, there's like 3 great neighborhoods in Vandalia. Ours is one, Woodland Meadows, Timberland, all those things, those are like where people want to go. And I think we just want to keep the character. And if you look at the elevations and then you drive through our neighborhood, there's no way that it would look like it's, the houses look like they got transplanted from Huber Heights. They don't fit the character of Foxfire at all. We are moving well. We've gone from everybody's going to be pretty much all brick to, well, we'll just let the market do. Well, when I moved in, there was no choice. As when most of us were there, you had to have brick, no aluminum siding. If you did have siding, it was some unusual composite stuff that was durable and long lasting. My house is brick all around. And I just don't think that it necessarily fits. Even if you look at the houses that are being built on the neighborhood, on some of the vacant lots, they still fit. And then when you talk about the extension of Deerhurst, for those that aren't familiar, perhaps zoning says that they're 50 feet, but the lots themselves that the houses that Bill built are significantly wider than 50 feet. So he might be exceeding the zoning specifications. Well, my house exceeds the zoning specifications by a whole lot. And I think we are going from something that was basically a very crown jewel sort of a thing to something that, well, it meets zoning. And meeting zoning and being the right thing are maybe a little bit different. And I understand that we're talking about market forces, and that's really part of my concern as well. Here we are in the middle of a pandemic talking about market forces and making a decision when a whole lot of people are hurting and suffering, whereas 2021, markets start to rebound, maybe someone else will step up and say, now people are buying houses, and I build the houses that fit in the character of Vandalia that people want to move into and live, as opposed to, well, I'm all you got, take it or leave it, which basically seems to be the attitude. And I think that there's a little bit more that we can do as opposed to basically capitulating. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
This is Alex Gonadre again. I want to go over something here. I had asked the question. The comment was made by Mr. Krongold's realtor during the zoning commission meeting that based on his portfolio of builders that it would increase the market value of all of our homes. And I asked that question in that meeting of how our houses on smaller lots going to increase the value of the majority of these houses in here that are, $350,000, $400,000, $450,000. And to this point, nobody has yet to answer that question. Okay. So I don't understand when they're going to build, Mr. Krongold said he's going to build $250,000 to $300,000 homes, how that's going to increase our market value of the houses that are in this neighborhood. And that's the first thing. The other gentleman there from Northern Kentucky, he made a comment that not everybody wants brick and custom. My thought on that is, if you don't want brick and you don't want custom, then go build someplace else. That's my take on it. If they really want to help our neighborhood out, if Mr. Krongold really wants to do that, help us raise our market value of the current homes that are here. I think they have higher end homes that they could do that could possibly raise the market value, but $250,000 to $300,000 homes are not going to help raise our market value in our neighborhood. So that's what I have to say there. Thank you.
Thank you. I see several with their hands up. Have we already got to them?
I think so. Yeah.
Hello, this is Leon Mabel at 778 Foxfire Trail again. And due respect to with the developers, yes, Fisher builds probably a decent home for a production builder. But what council, and I think you realize, is this is a neighborhood of custom-built homes by the late Bill Willoughby, who did an outstanding job and built a wonderful home. And we just don't want a production builder to be mixed into this neighborhood and which would, in our estimation, devalue the resale value of our homes. If the market demands a production builder, there are plenty of other places in Vandalia where this builder can develop the land and sell production homes. But we believe it would devalue our property, and we request council to vote against this.
Thank you.
Can anybody hear me out there?
Yes.
Yes, this is Sterling and Vanessa Johnson, and we pretty much agree with all of our neighbors' comments about coming into this area of custom-built homes. Very proud to be here and keeping up the lawn and the general appearance of everything. And you know, if you take into consideration about what the market will bear, what the builders are saying. Builder is saying, you know, if the market drops off, I mean, and it's going to trailer parks, then, you know, why would they even put in that doesn't even make sense. So, Vanessa, you want to say something?
Yes. When Sterling and I were looking at homes before we built here in Vandalia, we were looking at, I guess they believe that it's production homes because they look alike. They don't give too much variation in your home. I went and said, well, we would like to have a large bedroom. They say, McGee, the bedroom is. This is the size that you get. You can't change the lot. You can't do different things. And so we said, well, the houses are not big enough or it's not custom enough. And you know what the production home people told us? You need to move to a custom home area. So what we did was start looking for a custom home to get what we want. So there is people that want custom homes, and I don't think you should be changing the way the custom home looks out here or what people want, because you know, we looked at Fisher Homes, and Fisher Homes are in different places. They're out there in Miamisburg. They're way, you know, they build what you call custom homes out there. Some of those homes are almost 600,000, you know, 600K and more than that. And we looked at those too. They're custom homes, and they don't just build anything in that area. And so why would you come into Vandalia and start taking the custom homes down, you know, the value of it, when you're not taking it down in the other areas where those custom homes cost a lot more money. And I do know that Fisher do build great, outstanding houses, but they keep it at a level of the area that they're building in. And to come bring houses that are production homes in here, you will take the value down of the custom homes. And so that's all I wanted to say of that, because I believe that people do go and look for custom homes because that's what they want.
Thank you for your comment. Can you please give us your address for the record?
781 Foxfire Trail, Vandalia, Ohio.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? I think we've got just about everybody.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Lucius Plant and Donna Plant at 2330 Cheviot Hills Lane, Vandalia. I'd just like to, I agree with most of my neighbors' comments. I'd just like to add that when we were looking at communities in which to move in 2002, we looked at a lot of great communities, and we chose Foxfire because of the look of the community, the friendliness of the people, and how the homes were built. And there was it was a decision that when I go back and look at the communities that we were looking at then, they have maintained their look. And I think our concern here, and the concern that many of our neighbors have, is that a change here could affect the look and the future of the community as we go forward. And we would ask that you not make a decision on this at this point tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Okay, at this time, I'd like to see if council has any comments.
Yeah, I'd like to make one comment. There's been a lot of talk tonight about Foxfire. I think one gentleman mentioned 117 homes. I know all of them were built by Bill Willoughby. He was his own, he was an architect, a good man, and a quality builder, as everyone spoke of tonight. All of them were built by him except for, I think, 3 or 4 lots that were that NEF is currently building on. But unfortunately, I want to pass along the condolences to his family. I attended his funeral, I think it was 2 weeks ago on a Friday night. He passed away. I think he was 70, 72 years old. So he was a good man, and he left Foxfire as his legacy. Thank you.
Any other comments from council?
Well, are we going to go through the other public hearings and then?
Yes.
Actually,
we're going to close out of this one, then we'll move on to the other ones.
I'll save mine until we get to the agenda item.
Okay. All right, thank you. This time, I'd like to close the public hearing. We also have several other items on the public hearing tonight. This time, I'd like to ask Mr. McDonald to read them by title only, then I will open up a public hearing and go through them one by one.
Ordinance 2031, an ordinance amending certain sections within the Vandalia zoning code, chapters 1212, 1214, 16, 18, 20, 24, 26, 32, 34, 36, 40, and 1244.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open up a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on ordinance 20-31, please state your name and address for the record and your comment. Being none, we'll move on to ordinance 20-32.
2032, an ordinance rezoning 14 parcels of land in the city of Vandalia from planned unit development to office residential, office service, and highway business, and amending the zoning map of the city.
Anyone like to speak on ordinance 20-32? We'll move on.
2033, an ordinance approving the classification and corresponding pay groups for certain employees and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 20-33? Move on to 2034.
2034, an ordinance approving individual assessment amounts and directing the finance director or her designee to certify the amounts to the county auditor for collection and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 20-34? We'll move on to ordinance 20-35.
2035, an ordinance to revise appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Vandalia, Montgomery County, Ohio during the calendar year December 31, 2020, and amending ordinance 1924 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 20-35? Being none, we'll move on to G, the variance.
A variance to allow a home addition to encroach into the minimum rear yard setback at 1157 Lansdale Court. The request is to permit a 180 square foot, 15 by 12 sunroom to be located approximately 22 feet from the rear property line, where 35 feet is the minimum rear yard setback in the residential single-family 3 zoning district. The Board of Zoning Appeals voted 5-0 to recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak on 1157 Lansdale Court? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And that brings us to comments from interested citizens. So if anyone would like to make a comment to council, please state your name and address for the record and your comments. Okay, we'll move on to the city manager's report. We have an information item. Mr. Althouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. City offices will be closed on Thursday, November 26th and Friday, November 27th in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. The rec center, however, will be open on Thanksgiving Day from 7 a.m. until noon for the fitness area, gym, and track. The rec center will resume regular hours and schedule on Friday, November 27th.
Thank you. We have no action items, nor do we have any old business, and that brings us to our first resolution of the night, that being Resolution 20-R-66.
I move that we amend the agenda and move 20-R-66 on the agenda after 20-30 in a second reading.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Farst and a second by Councilman Follick that we move Resolution 20-R-66 to after Ordinance 20-30. We need to call the roll?
We don't have to call roll for that because it's just a procedural item, so you just all in favor and all against. Just
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Okay. Next, we have Resolution 20-R-67. Mr. McDonald, by title only?
a resolution approving the Redwood Vandalia preliminary plat.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. Redwood USA LLC is requesting a preliminary plat of 81.2 acres of land generally located on the east side of Webster Street at the intersection of Webster Street and Park Center Drive and dedicate 1.3191 acres to the city as public right-of-way. The preliminary plat would create 6 lots. Lots 1 through 5 are proposed as buildable lots, and Lot 6 would be dedicated as public right-of-way after the public road into the development is built. At its meeting on October 27, 2020, the Planning Commission voted 3-0 to recommend approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, lots 1 and 2 shall be permitted a total of 1 freestanding sign that is visible from Webster Street and shall be shared by both lots. The freestanding sign shall be located in the northeast corner of the intersection of Webster Street and Park Center Drive. Number 2, lots 3, 4, and 5 shall be permitted a total of 1 freestanding sign that is visible from Webster Street and shall be shared by all 3 lots. The freestanding sign shall be located in the southeast corner of the intersection of Webster Street and Park Center Drive.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve Resolution 20-R-67 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Follick and a second by Councilman Blakesley that we approve Resolution 20-R-67 as presented. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ehlers?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-R-68. Mr. McDonald?
A resolution awarding the bid and authorizing the purchase of a Milo Range Advanced Training System requested by the Division of Police from Milo Range Training Systems in the amount of $33,930.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse?
Thank you, Your Honor. The Division of Police solicited bids for a new police scenario training simulator to provide enhanced training opportunities for police officers and practical demonstrations during community events such as the Citizens Police Academy and the Youth Explorer program. The police department distributed bid packets to 4 companies and received 3 bid proposals from various scenario training simulator packages to replace the aging and obsolete laser shot system that is no longer functional. After reviewing the various bid proposals and equipment options, the police department recommends purchasing the Milo Range Advanced System for the bid price of $33,930. The 2020 capital project comes in $1,070 under the budget amount of $35,000.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 20-R-69. I'm sorry, 68, as
Second.
presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Forrest and a second by Vice Mayor Ayers that we approve Resolution 20-R-68 as presented. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Pollak?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-R-69. Mr. McDonald?
A resolution appointing the city manager to the Board of Directors of the Butler Township Vandalia Joint Economic Development District.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse?
Thank you, Your Honor. City appointments to the JED Board through Resolution 14R42 have expired. This resolution reappoints the position of city manager and assistant city manager to the Butler Township Vandalia JED Board. The JED agreement's purpose is to facilitate economic development, create and preserve jobs and employment opportunities, and improve the economic welfare of the people in this state and in the areas of the parties to the contract. These positions appointed by council are 4-year terms, with 1 position representing the city and 1 position representing the businesses in the territory with concurrence of township trustees.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve Resolution 20-R-69 with the city manager representing the city and the assistant city manager representing the businesses.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Pollak and a second by Councilman Blakesley that we approve Resolution 20-R-69 with the conditions presented. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Pollak?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-R-70. Mr. McDonald?
A resolution appointing representatives to the Butler Township Miller Lane Business District JED Z Board and the Butler Township Miller Lane Hotel District JED Z Board.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse?
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution appoints representatives to the Butler Township Miller Lane Business District JED Z Board and the Butler Township Miller Lane Hotel District JED Z Board. Resolution 13R49 appointed the city manager, the assistant city manager, and the assistant to the city manager to the JED Z Board. However, the assistant to the city manager has been retitled as a human resource manager position, and as such, council will be asked to consider the appointment of a new position. These 3 positions are 2-year terms with appointments by City Council. The JED Z agreement provides for the receipt and dispersal of all tax collections on behalf of the Butler Township Miller Lane Business District JED Z and the Butler Township Miller Lane Hotel JED Z by the City of Vandalia Finance Department.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 20R-70.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Ayers and a second by Councilwoman Fairst that we approve Resolution 20-R-70. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
I just want to make it clear that it's the city manager, the assistant city manager, and the HR manager are the 3 appointees for this one.
As noted.
Okay. Councilmember Pollak?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have one ordinance, being Ordinance 20-36 in its first reading. Mr. McDonald?
An ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Vandalia, Ohio during the calendar year ending December 31, 2021.
Thank you. Chief Althouse?
Thank you, Your Honor. This ordinance authorizes appropriations for fiscal year 2021. Council conducted budget review workshops on October 20 and 21st. As a result of these workshops, the following changes were made to the proposed budget. in the general fund for finance, accounting, and auditing, an increase of $3,000 to account for the additional cost for a single audit of a calendar year 2020 as a result of the federal grant monies received during 2020 over the threshold amount of $750,000. Also, an increase to the street fund capital, an increase of $200,000 for street resurfacing, and an increase of $50,000 for curb and sidewalk to account for the additional cost to maintain streets, curbs, and sidewalks.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move that we approve ordinance 20-36 in its first reading as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Farst that we approve Resolution 20-36 in its first reading. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers.
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have ordinance 20-37.
An ordinance approving a planned unit development final plan for sub-area C of the Redwood Vandalia development for land generally located at 7100 Webster Street.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. Redwood USA LLC is requesting a planned unit development final plan for Subarea C of the Redwood PUD Subarea C. Subarea C consists of two parcels generally located on the easternmost portion of the property at 7100 Webster Street. The 45.6 acres development site is intended for the development of a mixture of four-family and multifamily dwellings totaling 171 residential units. This final development plan provides for 58% of the land being designated as private open space, where only 15% is required. In addition, the vegetation around the perimeter of Subarea C untouched and proposes adding trees and other landscaping, including landscape screening, to minimize the visibility of the site from the single-family residential property at 4300 Little York Road. The final PUD plan features a 4-foot 4-inch tall, 24-square-foot primary entrance sign located in the southeast corner of the Webster Street and Park Center Drive intersection. The applicant is also requesting a secondary entrance sign near the roundabout adjacent to the private road leading into the Redwood development. At its meeting on October 27, the Planning Commission voted 3-0 to recommend approval of the proposed PUD final plan for Subarea C with the following conditions. Number 1, Subarea C is only permitted the uses of multifamily and four-family dwellings. Number 2, at the time of any future development of Subarea A or B, the review and determination as to whether any improvements to Webster Street is necessary, including the possible requirement of a traffic study, shall be decided. Number 3, if secondary emergency access is not provided to Subarea C, then a sprinkler system will be required in accordance with fire code. Number 4, construction must commence within 12 months after approval or the final development plan approval shall lapse. And number 5, the secondary entrance sign adjacent to the roundabout shall not exceed 12 square feet in area.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve ordinance 20-37 in its first reading.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Farst and a second by Councilman Blakesley that we approve ordinance 20-37 in its first reading. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers.
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I can, the ordinance 2036 inadvertently should have been said and declaring an emergency, because we're going to pass it presumably at the next meeting, and then the 30 days would bring us into January already, and we want it to be effective by January. So when you see it in the second reading, it will say
An emergency. All right. Thank you.
emergency.
Okay, we'll move on to ordinances in the second reading. The first one is ordinance 20-30.
Ordinance 2030, an ordinance rezoning 15 acres of vacant land in the northwest portion of the Foxfire subdivision from residential single-family to residential single-family 2 to residential single-family 4, and amending the zoning map of the city.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse.
Land Zone Limited is requesting to rezone approximately 15 acres of vacant land in the Foxfire subdivision from residential single-family 2, RSF2 to residential single-family 4. The RSF4 zoning district is the highest density for single-family detached housing units. The primary difference between the two zoning districts is the minimum required lot size and frontage. The RSF4 district allows for smaller, more narrow lots. The rezoning request is consistent with the 2020 future land use map designation of low-density residential. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at its October 13th meeting and voted 3-0 to recommend approval, subject to the following condition, and that is the accompanying preliminary plat is approved.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move that we deny the rezoning on 2030 from RS2 to RS4.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Follick that we deny the ordinance 20-30 as noted. Are there any comments?
I would just comment quickly that I found via the testimony and what we'd read that I don't believe the rezoning preserves the character of that particular neighborhood and the quality of the existing homes. And I think it would seek to destabilize and degrade the existing property values. And for those reasons, I seek to deny the rezoning.
Thank you.
Just to echo Councilman Lewis's comments, but then also, a couple things in that when the developer first presented it, and there were a couple issues that came up both in the preliminary plat and then the rezoning. I think it's a substantial departure from what the city has previously approved in 2014 for the preliminary plat and the zoning that occurred there. And I think that with that intention, we have citizens that have either purchased or built homes in that neighborhood with the understanding of that's what the development of that neighborhood was going to consist of. And I also agree that the proposed rezoning is likely to have an adverse effect on the economic viability of existing homes in the Foxfire development. So that's why I'd also support the denial. And real quick, I just wanted to thank residents that, have voiced their opinions on the issue, both either in person or by email or in the public meetings that we've had.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Call the roll.
And I remind everybody, a yes vote means to deny. Councilmember Woods?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ehlers?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 20-R-66. Mr. McDonald?
Good job. Got a big note there. A resolution approving the Foxfire preliminary plat.
We are.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. Land Zone Limited is requesting the approval of a preliminary plat of 22.45 acres of land in the Foxfire subdivision. The requested plat would result in the creation of 63 single-family residential zoning lots with an average lot size of 9,100 square feet. In addition, this preliminary plat would also create an additional 2.786 acre lot to be dedicated as open space and used for stormwater detention. The proposed preliminary plat meets all applicable requirements of the RSF4 zoning district. At its meeting on October 13, the Planning Commission voted 3-0 to recommend approval of the preliminary plat subject to the following conditions. Number 1, the accompanied rezoning request to RSF4 zoning district is approved. Number 2, the final plat provides an easement to access Poplar Creek Road for the properties at 4410, 4420, 4422, 4424, 4426, and 4428 Poplar Creek Road.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we deny the R20-R-66 variance,
Second.
Resolution.
resolution, excuse me.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Ehlers and a second by Councilwoman Fairst that we deny Resolution 20-R-66. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Once again, a yes vote is to deny. Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have ordinance 20-31 on its second reading. Mr. McDonald.
Just on top of things today. An ordinance amending certain sections with the Vandalia zoning code, chapters 1212, 1214, 1216, 1218, 1220, 1224, 1226, 1232, 1234, 1236, 1240, and 1244. I do want to point out to council that at the first reading, there was some changes made. I have confirmed that those changes have been made in the ordinance, in particular that the provision regarding electronic signs is not included in this ordinance, and the provision regarding the warehouses, which is in a table, is also not going to be included in this ordinance.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse, who's always on his game.
Thank you, Your Honor. Through application, staff has identified a number of Scrivener's errors and other necessary amendments to the city's planning and zoning code since its adoption in 2019. Staff believes these proposed amendments would benefit all users, including property owners, businesses, and city staff. A full listing of these proposed amendments is provided in your packet. The Planning Commission reviewed these proposed amendments in a special meeting on October 6th and voted 5-0 to recommend approval.
Thank you. Have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2031.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Blakesley and a second by Councilman Follak that we approve ordinance 20-31 in its second reading. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have ordinance 20-32. Mr. McDonald.
An ordinance rezoning 14 parcels of land in the city of Vandalia from planned unit development to office residential, office service, and highway business, and amending the zoning map of the city.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. As part of the recent zoning code rewrite adopted in 2019, the city removed planned unit development overlays from property without a PUD plan. 14 parcels were inadvertently rezoned to PUD despite having no PUD plan. Staff is proposing to rezone these 14 parcels back to their original base zoning district of office residential, office service, and highway business. The Planning Commission reviewed this proposal in a special meeting on October 6th and voted 5-0 to recommend approval.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve ordinance 20-32 at second reading.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Follak and a second by Vice Mayor Ayers that we approve ordinance 20-32 in its second reading. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have emergency ordinance 20-33.
An ordinance approving the classifications and corresponding pay groups for certain employees and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. The 2020 city employee pay scale is revised to include the new community risk reduction coordinator position.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Make a
Move we
mo-
approve ordinance 2033 as an emergency?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Blakesley that we approve ordinance 20-33 as an emergency. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have ordinance 20-34.
An ordinance approving individual assessments amounts and directing the finance director or her designee to certify the amounts to the county auditor for collection and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Althouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. This emergency ordinance assesses properties for delinquent accounts related to weed cutting, stormwater, trash collection, sewer, and water.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2034 as emergency.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Blakesley and a second by Councilwoman Fairst that we approve ordinance 20-34 as an emergency. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have emergency ordinance 20-35.
An ordinance to revise appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Vandalia, Montgomery County, Ohio during the calendar year ending December 31, 2020, and amending Ordinance 19-24 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Aldhouse.
Thank you, Your Honor. Finance is requesting the approval of the following supplemental appropriation ordinance for an increase in the general fund in the amount of $20,100 and an increase in the police street fire fund in the amount of $3,500. In the general fund, $5,100 is an increase of the 2020 budget appropriations for the reimbursement of costs associated with COVID, including gloves, face shields, N95 mask, EMS bag replacements. Part of the stimulus payment received in April from the Department of Health and Human Services Provider Relief Fund will be used to offset these costs and reimburse the general fund that were expended prior to the city receiving the distribution. Also out of the general fund, $15,000 is an increase of 2020 budget appropriations for the additional legal expenses related to negotiations, zoning issues, and litigation. Out of the police, street, and fire fund, an increase of $3,500. This is an increase of 2020 budget appropriations for the unexpected additional costs associated with a change order for the new emergency generator project located at Fire Station 2.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve ordinance 20-35 as an emergency.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Fairst and a second by Councilman Blakesley that we approve ordinance 20-35 as an emergency. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have reports from boards and commissions. We have a variance request for 1157 Lansdale Court. Mr. Althouse?
Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant Charles Wright has requested a variance to allow a home addition to encroach into the minimum rear yard setback. The variance request to permit a 180-square-foot sunroom to be located approximately 22 feet from the rear property line, where 35 feet is the minimum setback in the residential single-family 3 zoning district. The Board of Zoning Appeals reviewed the variance at their October 28, 2020 meeting and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the requested variance.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move.
We approve variance setback at 1157 Lansdale Court.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Vice Mayor Ayers that we approve the building setback at 1157 Lansdale Court. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Next, we have the Board of Zoning Appeal minutes of October 28th, 2020. Any comments on those? Next, we'll move on to the October bill listing in the amount of $3,460,210.61, and the October purchase card detail in the amount of $24,941.12. And that brings us to council comments. We'll start with Mr. McDonald. Thank you. Mr. Aldhouse.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Councilman Lewis.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Blakesley.
Nothing. Thank you.
Councilman Woods.
Nothing tonight.
Councilman Follak.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilwoman Fairst.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
All right. Vice Mayor Ayers.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. And I have no comments either. So at this time, we'll adjourn this meeting and we'll resume our study session. And then we will